It is so good to be back with you guys. I appreciate you coming in. I am Milan Trezor. I am your hostess with the mostest, often imitated, never duplicated. Welcome to Swipe Left. Swipe Left. Swipe Left. Welcome, you guys. Come on in. Listen, it's your hostess with the mostest. It's the Glamazon. I'm back. We're back. Here to talk about my travels down on these internet streets, baby. Listen, I got a lot of ground to cover, so let's not waste any time. Let's go. Okay, you guys. First story up. I'm going to start right in with Super Bowl halftime. Listen, anyone who is of Latin descent should be very, very proud. And you heard it from me. I think that this was listen, I like all the halftime shows. I do. I can't actually pull out and say, oh, I didn't like. The halftime show is always good to me. Yes, some are better than others, but it's always something new, something fresh, something different. And this time was no different. Listen, Shakira was the opening. We opened with Shakira. She had this cute red outfit. She had all females backing her up dressed in red. It was, listen, I was here for every bit of it. And then she had a special appearance by Bad Bunny, who came out and did Cardi B's song, I Like It Like That. They did that together. Very cute. She did all her hits. She did She Wolf Honey, and did her little Hips Don't Lie. And listen, I was here for it. It was really, really cool. It was good to see her because I haven't seen her. I'm a big fan. I haven't seen her for years. I haven't seen Shakira doing anything. And she looked like she hasn't aged a day. Still moving. And look, the outfit was very, very cute to me. There was a detachable skirt that she put on for half of it. And then she came out of that. And listen, I was here for it. She played the guitar. She did her thing. And then she led us right into Jenny from the Block, baby, and J-Lo came in there on a stripper pole that was stuck in the middle of the stage. She had this really beautiful fuchsia detachable skirt that was very drag worthy. I loved it, and it was fuchsia. She was dressed in black leather and gold studs, and you didn't want any of it. I was like, come on through, J-Lo. She did her hits, broke down out of that. It came off into a sheer bodysuit, and things got very Latin at that point, and she danced her heart out. She pole danced. She spun on the pole. She descended herself from the pole. It was really classy. It was done very well. She had herself backed up with all male dancers, which was the complete opposite of Shakira. And all her boys were dressed in white. Baby, they were killing it in that white. They started off with black and white at first. And then when she stripped down, they stripped down and they ended up in all white. It was, listen, I was here for it. But by far, I think the best part and the part that people are going to remember the most and really talk about the most is when the kids came out. We had a whole army of little tots that came out and they performed Let's Get Loud, which was one of my jams. And they were doing their thing, and out came her daughter, Emmy. And Emmy led the kids doing Let's Get Loud, and then she joined her mom, and they were doing Born in the USA. Listen, J-Lo was joined by J Balvin for part of her set, and then her and Shakira came together. Listen, it was good. It was good. Now, there was chatter. There was chatter. People were just ridiculous. But there was chatter. I heard some stuff allegedly about Shakira and J-Lo not getting along. I don't care whether they got along or if they didn't get along. When they hit the stage, we couldn't tell. It was definitely, and equal amount of diva-ness on stage, because literally one wasn't on stage any shorter time than the other. It was just, we knew that J-Lo was the headliner because she performed last. But they didn't, you know, neither one slighted the other. It went off without a hitch. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm telling you, I don't care. I don't care. It was fantastic. Then there was other rumblings, and there were people who, I can't believe in this day and age we're doing this. In 2020, there were people who were having a fit and saying really rude stuff. Like if you go to the YouTube video showing the halftime show, there were comments in there where people were saying, we're in America, you need to speak English, because of course they sang in Spanish and they sang in English. No, they needed to do exactly what they did. They represented for their people. And I said it when we started this, if you are of any Latin descent, you should be very proud. You were represented well, and I was here for every bit of it. Every bit of it. I think the halftime show was great. I enjoyed myself and I watched it again. So listen, I was here for it. I don't care what anybody says. The halftime show is literally and has always been about all of us. It's always been about all of us. That's why it changes every year. Sometimes it's rock music, sometimes it's country, sometimes it's hip hop, sometimes it's R&B. Listen, it is about all of us, and somebody is represented. Each group is represented. Isn't that what America's all about? Okay, end of story. Swipe left. Okay, so listen to this, guys. Let's continue in the vein of pair-ups and matchups. Jason Lee and our favorite here is Swipe Left, Wendy Williams. Listen, Jason Lee came on to the Wendy Williams show. I was so excited to see him. When I sat, I looked, you know what? I have this, it's a love-hate relationship. It ain't really, there's not really any hate. I'm a fan of Jason Lee on Hollywood Unlocked. I'm a fan of his Hollywood Unlocked presence. Not so much of his Love and Hip Hop presence. So I'll say that. Jason drives me crazy on Love and Hip Hop, and in my reviews, I have to tank and spank him a little bit, but I like Jason Lee. I think he's bold, and he basically, if there is a male version of Wendy Williams, it would be Jason Lee. And she had him on, and they did a little gossip and a little back and forth, and you know what? It was good. It was good. I mean, surprisingly good. They sat, and it gave me that kitchen table talk feel. They were really vibing. You could tell Wendy was really comfortable with Jason, and Jason was comfortable with Wendy. And dig this. They talked about Kevin Hart, talked about some little beef and things that he had going on. They talked about Gabrielle Union and the Terry. Child, listen, I'm not even getting into all that, but Gabrielle versus Terry, honey. They got into that whole little thing. Terry Crews did all of that. And it just went really, really smoothly. But this is not about that. This is about Jason and Wendy. You could tell that they actually have a friendship outside, and it was authentically messy and smooth. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. He gave copies of his book to everybody in the audience. And listen, I hope to see Jason Lee on Wendy Williams' show again. And I'm sure him being on the Wendy Williams show did wonders for his numbers on Hollywood Unlocked. So congratulations, Jason. I loved it. I loved your appearance. And you know, I'll spank you again when you get back around to your Love and Hip Hop appearances. I'll get back at you again. But on this day, I'm very proud of you, and I'm very happy for you. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. Swipe left. All right, guys. Another one of my little daytime shows that I actually take part in, Tamron Hall. Tamron Hall actually had a show where she brought Kandi Burruss on of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Again, listen, all my reality show people were getting down with the little talk shows this week. I said, come on, you all, let's go. Kandi came on, did a wonderful interview with Tamron Hall. She really touched on some things. Kandi looked good. She really did. She looked good. And you know, Kandi can be, she's another one that I give Kandi a hard time sometimes, you know, when we do the reviews for Real Housewives of Atlanta. Y'all catch that on my channel. I'll give Kandi a little hard time here and there. But, because she could be a little messy. She can be a little messy. That's the part she plays, down to the Real Housewives, okay? But sometimes Kandi's a little awkward socially. I found her to be awkward. But she, for whatever reason, she seemed very comfortable at Tamron's show. She talked about her surrogacy. She talked a lot about her surrogacy and some of the problems and some of the attitudes of her family members and friends and things that you come in contact with when it comes to bonding with the baby and just the surrogacy as a whole. And she was saying how there were people that would make comments that kind of left her with her feelings hurt about her using a surrogate as opposed to, you know, having her baby the natural way. And I was shocked. I was shocked because we've talked about it during the show and they did focus on it a lot during the show this season, but she didn't really talk to us yet. And I'm gonna say yet because we're still going. So it might be coming up. I didn't know there was anything going on with the family or that anybody had stepped basically out of line with the family about this whole surrogacy thing. So that's going to be very interesting. I'm going to be keeping my ears and my eyes open for that. But I was shocked. But that was very interesting to me. And she dropped some gems on anybody who is actually thinking of doing reality television and people who have questions about what reality television is really all about. Because see, reality television really isn't about just showing you all our messiest side of ourselves that we can show. That's not what it's really about. Kandi put things really into perspective about her decisions to do Real Housewives of Atlanta, and it's always been a business opportunity. As she, by far, has the most spinoffs and extra business ventures and things that are attached to her show. She met her husband on the show. So she really got into that. And like she said, when the business runs out, then she'll leave the show. And I thought that was good. I thought that was some good conversation because I think people do get caught and think that people just get on reality shows just to be messy. Some people do. Some people do, but trust me, at the end of the day, it's a business decision. And if it's not, it should be. Swipe left. Okay. Let's talk about putting your foot into your mouth. Shall we? Gayle King. Yes, my girl Oprah's friend, Gayle King. Gayle King is catching backlash, terrible backlash, where she basically, we all know Gayle is a good interviewer. You know, she is like the best friend of Oprah, so she does have a lot of opportunities to do some interviews that most people will never get to do. But Gayle runs into some little issues sometimes when these things come up. She was doing an interview with Lisa Leslie, and they were speaking on her friendship with Kobe Bryant. And for some odd reason, Gayle thought it was a good idea to ask Lisa about Kobe Bryant's rape case. That past rape case, the one that was dismissed and all of that. Listen, why? It was not relevant to the conversation. And it happened to be very disrespectful. Kobe Bryant has passed on. And he didn't just pass on, he passed on. It was a tragic situation. It was a tragedy for everybody. And it's still very, very fresh, Gayle. I don't understand why that was relevant to this conversation you were having. The timing was totally off. And this, now I'm speaking my feelings now. The timing is totally off, and I don't think that there will ever be a good time for it, especially with the fact that he has passed on. He has passed on, so he can't curse you out, nor rebut anything that you said. And why? I mean, anytime you're talking about a rape case and a male, a female, anybody, a rape case, period, it's just ugly. It's ugly, especially if you're the person accused of the rape. So once you've passed on, there's never a good time to be speaking about that. It's ugly. It's ugly. And this time it was totally off. I didn't like it. And the thing is, I have to ask Gayle, I'm asking, if Kobe was alive, would you have asked that question? Some reason I don't think you would have. I don't. I don't believe that you would have. I don't believe that it would have actually come up in your interview at all. That's just my personal feelings. You all let me know in the comments, what do you think? If Kobe was still alive, would Gayle have asked that question to Lisa Leslie? I don't believe it. But I'll tell you this, Lisa stated, it's time for the media to leave it alone and back off. Hey, I'm here for it. Loved that statement, okay? And I agree. Gayle actually spoke out, after the backlash started, and she's basically blaming editing and blaming the network. Because the network aired and kind of pushed out that little piece of the interview. But I'm sorry, Gayle. I'm blaming you because you led the questioning, and the fact that the question was asked at all is where the problem came in. Not how it was edited, not how it was aired. The fact that the question was asked at all is where the problem came in my opinion. But here's what two people, Lil Boosie and Snoop Dogg, came out and they had things to say. Lil Boosie, he wasn't too bad, but baby, Snoop Dogg, Snoop has gotten to a point where he's pretty good with, how he carries himself. Baby, Snoop snapped out and messed around and called Gayle a funky dog-head bitch. I think it's safe to say that the dog went to barking, honey. He was a little pissed. I was like, ooh, kind of bad. But yeah, I didn't care for this one. On this one, and I like Gayle, but I think Gayle, you definitely put your foot in your mouth, sis. Just wasn't necessary. All right, you guys, swipe left. Okay, you guys, as I said, you know what? It is February. It's February, and you all know February is Black History Month. So something that I definitely want to do for the show every week, I want to talk about an unsung hero from my history. I'm Black. And I wanted to be unsung hero of the week. To help me with this, I am actually going to introduce you all, some of you already know who she is and some of you don't. But I'm going to introduce you to Really Be TV from YouTube. She is going to help me in the tribute each week this month. We are starting this first week of February off. I'm going to go and I'm going to let Really Be take it away. Take it away, Really Be.
Hey everybody, how you guys doing? This is Really Be TV and welcome to this week's Unsung Black History Moment. This week in our Unsung Black History Moment, we're going to be focusing on Bayard Rustin. Baynard Rustin was born in Pennsylvania in 1912. In the 1930s, he moved to New York City, where he began his career in civil action. He linked up with A. Philip Randolph, who became his mentor to the end of his life. During World War II, he went to jail for 2 years for refusing to register for the draft, among other things. It wasn't until the 1950s that he linked up with Martin Luther King Jr. and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and they began organizing what we now know today as the Civil Rights Movement. Unfortunately, in 1953, Baynard Rustin was arrested for violations to the Moral Clause, aka he was arrested for being an openly gay black man. What we now know today is that in many places, especially in the South, being openly gay was very much frowned upon, and he was arrested many times for this infraction. It was agreed that because of these, among his other arrests, that Baynard probably wouldn't serve well for the movement to be on the forefront. So at that point, he became an organizer behind the scenes. Baynard Rustin, being a student of Mahatma Gandhi, actually took his nonviolent theories to Martin Luther King, and we now know that as being a major part of the civil rights movement of nonviolent resistance to what was happening when they were protesting. Also, we know that he was a mentee of A. Philip Randolph, where the March on Washington was his original vision. So we can thank Baynard Rustin for many things that we now know as staples of the civil rights movement, among those being the nonviolent resistance, the Montgomery bus boycott, and of course the iconic March on Washington. Baynard Rustin continued to be a major organizer of the civil rights movement well into his death in 1987. Baynard Rustin never lived his life in the closet and always was true to who he is. If you want to know more information about Baynard Rustin, there's a wonderful documentary that is streaming on Netflix called Brother on the Outside. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Queen. See you next week. Mwah. Swipe left. Okay, listen. How many of you really like the Golden Arches? I don't even know why I'm asking that question. I don't know very many people who don't like McDonald's. And if you don't like McDonald's, you have children that like McDonald's. Child, McDonald's has been around and it's a family place. It's a favorite place for families. But baby, something's going on. Something is going on down to the McDonald's. Now, I ran into this story. This is actually an older story. This took place in October of 2019. But I just ran across the story and I was taken aback by it. So it made today's episode of Swipe Left. And hello, I'm Milan Trezor. I'm the creator, the originator. I am Swipe Left. So, I want to talk about it, so we're going to talk about it. Take a look at this video.
Ordered a Happy Meal in the drive-thru. She noticed that her order was incorrect, so she went inside. That, we do that. That's normal. But she waited 25 minutes, and then she got frustrated. And instead of just walking away or calling corporate, she threw a bag at the manager. The manager then picked up a blender and then threw it at her face.
Now, let me tell you what went on, what really went down, to the McDonald's. That is a McDonald's in Cincinnati, okay? This woman went through the drive-thru and ordered a Happy Meal, which meant that either there were kids in the car or you were getting it for your children who possibly are at home. Either way, when you're buying something for your kids, it makes you happy, right? That's why it's called a Happy Meal. Well, something was wrong with the order. Girlfriend got out of the car, came into the store, and threw the bag over the counter at the manager. Listen, let me tell you something. You all have got to stop this. You have to stop this. You have to stop with this going into these fast food restaurants and thinking that you can abuse these people. Stop it. They're at work, but that doesn't give you the right to abuse, to do something that you wouldn't do normally. She threw the bag at the manager And baby, he, in turn, threw the blender at her face. Now, of course, you know he's gonna lose his job and the whole 9 yards. But there are people out there that care nothing about it, because you do realize there's so many McDonald's like that, and for every McDonald's there's a Burger King, okay, or a Wendy's or a Subway. So yeah, you could bust somebody in the face with a blender and be working the following Friday. So like, look, as customers, we got to stop this. The customer is not always right, but in the business world, customers are always right, but sometimes you'll be the customer that got balled up. I'm telling you. And then you should have known better than that, McDonald's anyway. Don't you know McDonald's is usually always out of ice cream? So that means the blender is always on board for kerfuffles. And if she didn't know, she found out. He bust her right up in the chair. I was like, oh my gosh. Bust her with that blender, baby. Her eye was just as swollen up. Wasn't even worth it. All about a Happy Meal. So that went on at a McDonald's. I want you to take a look at this. Now, this was a McDonald's in my hometown. This was recent. Take a look at the picture. Really? This is what we're doing down to the McDonald's? This is how we're standing behind the counter down at the McDonald's. Well, listen, that person has been relieved of their shift and all future shifts. They did get fired. They got fired, and the health department was actually called in for an inspection of that specific McDonald's. And that was here in the Pittsburgh area. Like, come on. Like, I just thought that was just tacky. And it was so weird that I actually ran into those two McDonald's stores on the same day. And I wasn't even in the same sites when I ran into them. It was just strange. That's why I actually brought them to you. But I mean, come on. Really? I still love McDonald's, but I mean, I'm allergic to fish, and I don't want any filet of fish. And I don't want no hot dog from down at the McDonald's, okay? Catch my drift? Anyway, but that little fella, he'll have all day to play around. However he chooses to play around, because he was relieved of his position at the McDonald's. McDonald's said swipe left. Okay, so let's keep talking about our kids, shall we? As much as kids make you very happy, there are days when they don't make you happy. There are days when you say, what have I got myself into? Take a look at this video. I don't know if they were aware, but I'm sure they are now, of exactly what sneakers do to a lovely SUV. I said, first of all, how did baby get up there? How did the baby get up there? And then the baby just clowning. I said, those are the days when, as a parent, you say, what am I doing? Why? Why did I choose this? I laughed. When I seen that, I said, oh my gosh. And I mean, I think at first I was like, oh my gosh. You know what I mean? And then I was just, then all I could do is laugh. All I could do is laugh. It scares you at first, because you know what can happen. It's a really far drop. Because most SUVs are at least 6 foot. And for a little person, falling that far could be really, really bad. But you had to laugh. I mean, because the child was having a wonderful time running and clowning. And the parents was like, why? Oh, I thought that was hilarious. Anyway, swipe left. Okay, now brace yourselves. Brace yourselves, okay? Because I'm getting ready to show you a video. And this one actually, it involves a car as well. But there's nothing funny or amusing about this at all. This has got to be, honestly, one of the worst acts of revenge or attention seeking that I have ever seen. Take a look at the video, you all. Horrible. I don't know. I was looking and I could not find the rest of the story. I know it was in New York. It was said that it was in New York. I actually ran across this on Twitter. It was in New York. But listen, the most horrible thing I've ever seen, to pull the body out and slam the body, that lifeless body, onto that car. Horrible. That is the worst, because they were either seeking attention or seeking revenge, or a little of both. Horrible. It was horrible. And that could have very easily turned into a double ceremony if it would have happened with the wrong family. Very easily and very quickly switched over into a double ceremony. Listen, could have been one of my family members. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm just gonna go right up because I ain't about to incriminate myself. Listen, I'm gonna leave it on alone. I'm done. Swipe left. Okay, you all. That was little rough. Let's lighten the mood. We're gonna lighten the mood, and we're gonna laugh. We're gonna laugh going out of here. We're almost done, but we're gonna laugh going out of here. Let's take a look at some photos and then do some fashion photos. You know, the things that make me happy. This first one, I'm not happy. I'm not happy with none of it, but we're gonna take a look. This right here, this is definitely the worst wedding photo that I have seen, maybe ever. Take a look. That is the wedding photo of Trina Braxton. I expect better. I expected more. Trina look all right, because you know Trina's Trina. Okay, the Trina's Trina. So Trina look pretty. But let's go down the Braxton family and their values, shall we? Tracy looks like she's on her way to a concert. Whose concert? I don't know. Miss E looks like she was the guest at somebody else's wedding. I just didn't get it. And not even the mother of the bride. She looked like somebody else's mother attending somebody else's wedding. Just totally unimportant. Just some old dress, just some old eggshell dress. And it wasn't a bad dress, but it didn't say mother of the bride, not Trina Braxton. Moving on. Tamar. I'm shocked. You know, Tamar usually does not miss a chance at showing out or, you know, being seen. Tamar looked like she's on her way thrifting. She looked like she's getting ready to hit a thrift store in Beverly Hills and try to find her a couple pieces, honey. I just, very underwhelmed. Tawanda, baby, that dress, the color and the shoe were just useless. Absolutely useless. The useless old baby doll dress. I've seen them all do better, like really. Tony, by far, the absolute worst. By far, was the absolute worst. Tony looked like she literally just stopped by for 10 minutes and just said, hey, this is great. Give me a piece of cake. I got to go. I got to go finish up what I was doing. And what she was doing was standing on the host roll. It was ridiculous. Tony looked terrible. Absolutely terrible at her sister's wedding. I was so over that. I was done with that. Completely done. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. That was awful. That whole get down. If I was, I'd have been mad at all them sisters, child. I'd have been evil. I really would. I'd have been evil with all them sisters. Anyway, moving on. Swipe left. Okay, so let's take a look at some fashion photos. Baby, we got a couple. Just a key. Listen. I remember, before I show you all this, I remember one episode of, because this is just coming up off of the Braxton situation. One of the Braxtons, and I'm just, child, it was Tamar. It was Tamar. And I'm not trying to start trouble. I'm not trying to start trouble, and I'm not trying to be real messy. Well, maybe just a little. But there was a little situation early on in the beginning parts of the Queen's Supreme Court shows. And Funky Dineva was a guest host on one of the shows. And during the after show, Funky and Tamar got into a little kerfuffle, if you will. And Funky made a joke that made me slide off this very chair almost onto the floor when he said something about, to the point of swollen ankles and things of that nature, and he said, Jesus be a water pill, and baby, I completely lost my, okay? So, like I said, I'm not trying to start trouble. I'm not trying to be too messy, but you're gonna understand when I say what I have to say and I show you this picture, because it was the first read that came to mind when I seen this picture. Jesus be a water pill. Take a look at this photo. Baby, do you see those feet? Baby, they are jammed. I mean jammed down into those little... Baby, them was some little midnight get-along pumps, honey. Feet was jammed down in there. And it's a queen, but we're going to leave her. I just got rid of the rest of the picture because I like this queen and I don't want to, I ain't trying to start no trouble or be too messy. But baby, them shoes, honey. And then they had the nerve to be that old plastic, that plastic sweats. And that plastic be squeezing, honey. And if your feet weren't swollen, they would have been anyway. But them feet were jammed down in there originally. That girl, Mom, leave them shoes alone. A mess. Shout out to Funky for the read, baby. But when I looked at that, it's the first thing that came to mind, honey. Jesus be a water pill. Child loved me some Funky Dineva, honey. Shout out to Funky. Anyway, swipe left. Okay, now look at this. Listen. This is double trouble. Double trouble. Married couple, I love them. I think they are such a good looking couple, good looking man, beautiful woman. But baby, they both just missed the mark, honey. Listen, take a look at this photo. Yes, Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. Honey, what is really going on, honey? I said, if you don't sit your ass down and that salmon velvet leisure suit, honey. I said, where are you going? Salmon, honey. I said, soon as they opened up the bag, honey, and you saw salmon, honey, you should have ran. And then it's a leisure suit, and it kind of crumpled. I said, that suit looked like it has been under the bed since the summer of '68, honey. Horrible. And then his feet look just as long with them dumb pants. I said, I don't like none of that, honey. I don't like none of that. That is giving me very much Little Lord Fauntleroy goes out to the Playboy Mansion, honey. I don't like it. And then Gabrielle didn't leave him hanging, baby. She was a team player. She said, okay. She put that little coat on, honey. That little coat is just as ugly. That coat reminded me of these old spreads that my great-grandmother used to have that had the three-dimensional pom-poms on them. Them spreads, listen, you talking about being warm, honey? You would be burning up, and then they were as heavy as hell, honey. She put them on you, baby. You be strapped to the bed like this, honey. I said, girl, no ma'am. No ma'am. Nightmare on Elm Street, honey. I said, horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Worst dressed couple of 2020 thus far. And I love the two of them, but baby, y'all's out of order for that. Totally out of order. Out of order. Swipe left. Whew, jeez. It's too much, too much. Listen, this is what we're going to end on. This is what we're going to end on. This child has so much talent. So much talent. She is so talented. She is so beautiful. But she catches hell in these streets about her fashions because she's so confident about herself. And yeah, she's just so confident about herself, and the people give her a hard time. And she does pull stunts. She pulls stunts. But the Grammys, take a look at this photo. Baby, listen. She said, I'm going to give y'all something to talk about, but it's going to be something good this time. Miss Lizzo. Baby, Miss Lizzo was so clean down to the Grammys. I loved this whole thing. The silhouette. Just a white strapless starlet, and it was giving glamour, honey, and the whole little fur stole, and it was really, I loved it. I loved it. And that whole soft wave, that soft body wave with the side part, and she just looked absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And it was, let's give them something to talk about. Yeah, she gave them something to talk about, but it wasn't like she usually does, because usually they come away talking smack. But baby, nobody could talk smack. Her body was snatched. Her makeup, everything was just perfect. I loved it. Everything, the shoes, the accessories, everything. She was definitely my best dress for the Grammys. Miss Lizzo, you had better do it. She definitely in the face of those who are always talking mess on her, and she shut it down. She shut it down for the Grammys. I loved it. Anyway, swipe left. Okay, you guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Like I said, it's always good to see you all. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And I will catch you very, very soon for another episode of Swipe Left. Good day, you all. Take care.